A very good morning, students. Welcome back to online session on programming for problem solving course. In our last class, we started the arithmetic expressions, and in that we have seen what is operand, what is operator, and what is an expression, simple and complex. The basic terminology related to these expression solving we have seen. And then we we started the operators concept, and in that we said we have 8 different types of operators in C. They are like arithmetic, relational, logical, bitwise, assignment, increment and decrement, conditional, and other operators category. So among these, in our previous session, we have completed the first 3, that is the arithmetic operators category, relational operators category, logical operators we have completed. And then we discussed the important concept which is required before the discussion of these bitwise operators, that is the conversion between decimal to binary. Decimal and binary. That is how we can convert a given number from decimal to binary, and how we do from binary to decimal conversion. This thing we have seen. So normal LCM procedure with reminders we are following in order to convert the decimal number to binary number. And binary number conversion back to decimal, that also we have seen with examples I have shown you, isn't it? So quickly in today's session, as we are aware of this process, how we can convert a decimal number into binary, and how we can convert a binary number back to decimal number, or given binary number into decimal number. So we can quickly discuss about these bitwise operators. So hopefully in today's session, I will try to wind up all these operator categories, the leftover operator categories, that is bitwise, assignment, increment and decrement, conditional, and other operator category. Okay, so let's just go to this bitwise operators. So these bitwise operators, we said they will operate at a bit level of the given operand. So whatever operand is given to you, generally most of the bitwise operations, they are binary operations. So whatever operands they have given to you, in order to perform the bitwise operation, you need to convert those operands into binary form before applying the bitwise operation, because these bitwise operators, they will operate at a bit level of the operand value. Okay, so there is a need to convert the operand value into binary, and then we can apply the bitwise operation. So bitwise operators, we have bitwise AND, bitwise OR, bitwise XOR, bitwise left shift, right shift, and finally the bitwise NOT. So not only these operators, under bitwise we have lot many operators, but we have selected and we are doing the discussion on these 6 operator categories. Okay, AND is 1, so I will count them. AND is 1, OR is 2, XOR is 3, left shift 4, right shift 5, and the NOT operator, that is 6. So these 6 operators we are discussing. Okay, apart from this, we also have circular left shift and circular right shift, that we are not doing over here because it is quite confusing and it is too early to discuss all those things at this stage. So the circular shifts process will do in for IT people. They are going to study more about programming languages. So over there in your computer organization subject, or in your Java subject, we will do this circular left shift and circular right shift concept. Okay, till that point we'll discuss up to this 6 only. Okay, so let's just start the first operator category, that is bitwise AND operator, and it is a binary operator. Bitwise AND operator, it is a binary operator, so it takes two operands to perform its operation. So what it will do means, as we are converting the given operand value to bit level, as we are converting the given operand value to bit level, it will simply do the comparison. It will check in the bits, it will check bit by bit and do the comparison, and wherever we are going to have two ones, okay, in the operation process, wherever we are going to have two ones, it will simply put 1 in its resultant value. And if you have what we call different bits, or if you have zeros in both the operands, it will simply consider it as 0 only. So when we do it practically, you will understand. So let's just go to our whiteboard application and do one simple example. So you just read out this statement. This operator takes two numbers as operands. Two numbers as operands, in the sense when we are saying 2, it is a binary operator. Okay, binary means it will take two operands to perform its operation, and does AND on every bit of two numbers. What it will do? It will perform the operation on every bit of two numbers. The result of AND is 1 only if both bits are 1. So this is the only thing which we have to remember. The result will be 1 if both bits are 1. Yani in your we are going to perform this operation between two numbers. So when you have converted those numbers into binary and you're checking the bits into those two numbers, if both the bits which you are checking, if both the bits are 1, you will get the resultant value 1. If you have different bits, like in one number it is 0 and in other number it is 1, then you will get 0 only. And if you have both bits zeros, in that case also you will get result as 0. So that truth table I will draw over here. So in order to understand this bitwise AND, we need to depend on truth table. So let us say we are applying A, B. Okay, two operands A and B, and we are performing A and B. This symbol AND, single AND % symbol, indicates bitwise AND operation. In your programming also you have to use this single AND % to perform the bitwise AND operation, single ampersand symbol. So let us say if you have both bits as 1, 1, 1, you will get the result as 1. If you have here 1, 0, you will get the result as 0. If you have 0, 1, in that case also you will get result as 0. If you have both zeros, in that case also you will get the result as 0. So by keeping this truth table in our mind, we'll do one simple example. So just remember, whenever we have two ones, we will get the result as 1. In all other cases, we will get the result as zeros, because with two bits, we're gonna have only 4 possible combinations. So our 2 bits are only 0 and 1, isn't it? Our 2 bits are only 0 and 1, and with this 0 and 1, how many possible combinations we will get? As a binary operator, we will get only 4 combinations. We have only 2 places and 2 bits, then we will get 4 possible combinations. Those 4 possible combinations are 1 1, 1 0, 0 1, 0 0. We are not going to have any other possible combination of bits by using only 2 bits and 2 positions. Okay, so for all possible combination cases, we have discussed the resultant values. So if we are going to have 2 ones, we will get the result 1. If we are going to have different bits like 1 0 0 1, we will get the result as 0 only. And if we are going to have both bits as 0, in that case also we are going to get 0 only. So just go to our whiteboard application and take the example, like we have taken the value A like 4 and B like 3. Now we are performing the bitwise AND operation between these two. So just convert these numbers into binary before performing A and B. Bitwise AND operation, just convert these two numbers into binary. Okay, let me just give some time. Okay, now we took A value, we said like 4, and B value we said like 3, and we are performing A ampersand B equals to how much. So we need to convert these two values into binary. 4, how we can do, how we can write in binary. So as it is our initial discussion or initial processing on these conversions, so we need to do it manually. But afterwards, after some time, what I will do means, because I know what is 4, what is 3 in binary, so I will write those binary forms directly. But for now, I will do the conversion. 4 means how we can, 4, just take the LCM with 2 and write the reminders. 2 2's, the remainder will be 0. Then 2 1's, the remainder will be 0. So what is the binary form of 4? 1 0 0 is the binary form of 4. Okay, hope you understood. So this binary number, whatever we are getting, don't write 3 bits over here. Always, whenever you are performing bitwise operation, try to take a minimum of 8 bits. 1 byte we will take. Okay, try to take a minimum of 8 bits. So what we have to do? So put the last 3 bits as 1 0 0, and prior to this 1, whatever bits we are going to put, you keep 0, because adding zeros, it will not change the value. Adding zeros before the number, it will not change the value. Okay, so simply put here how many zeros? 5 zeros, because 3 bits we have, so add 5 bits. We said we need total 8 bits, so 4 and 5. So this is my binary 4. This is decimal 4 and this is my binary 4. Convert this 3 also into binary. So 3, take with 2 1's. Okay, the remainder will be 1. So if you write like this, the binary form of 3 is 1 1, like this. So now what we have to do? Put the last 2 bits as 1 1, and rest of all just put zeros. Okay, 0 and 0. Now you perform. Now to get this A ampersand B, perform the operation, ampersand operation. So what ampersand operation is? So wherever you are going to have 2 common ones in both the operands, wherever you are going to have 2 common ones, you will get the result as 1. Otherwise, you will get the result as 0. In all other possible cases, you will get the result as 0. So over here 0 1, so you will get 0. Here 0 1, you will get 0. 1 0 0, and all these 0 0 0 0 0, so you will get zeros only. So when you apply the bitwise operation between 4 and 3, okay, so you will get the result as 0, because if you convert this binary number into decimal number, what you will get? If you convert this binary number into decimal number, you will get 0 only, because all zeros, nothing is there to multiply with. So you will get all, you will get the decimal also 0, because how we are converting this binary into decimal means keep all zeros separated, isn't it? And multiply with 2, add powers to 2, then sum all those things to get the final result. So when you are multiplying with 0, what will happen? All your results will become 0 and you will get the final value as 0 only. Okay, hope you understood this thing. Okay, so the next thing, yeah, go to the slide, and A ampersand B over here, when we are applying, when we are performing A ampersand B, we are getting the result like 0. So we applied the ampersand between 4 and 3, bitwise and between 4 and 3, and we got the result like 0. So the next thing, the bitwise OR operation. Bitwise OR operation, it is also a binary operator. Bitwise OR operator, it is also a binary operator. It will also take 2 operand values, 2 numbers to perform the operation. But over here, the case is at least 1 bit needs to be 1. In order to get the result as 1, in order to put the result as true, at least 1 bit needs to be 1. So if both the bits are 1, in that case also we will get 1. If 1 bit is 1, we get 1. If both the bits are zeros, in that case we will get 0. So only for bitwise OR operation, you have to remember, only if both the bits are 0, Only if both the bits are 0, you will get the result as 0, and in all other cases you will get the result as 1. Okay, so only if both the bits are 0, we will get result as 0, and in all other cases we will get the result as 1. So the truth table for this one, so I think here if I write, you won't be able to see, so I will start from here. A, then B, then A. The OR symbol is like this. We use this symbol, A or B. Okay, the OR symbol here I have written, you can see this one. Okay, so a line, a vertical line we can say. So here put both 1, 1, you will get the result as 1. Put 1, 0, you will get the result as 1. Put 0, 1, you will get the result as 1. If both are 0, you will get the result like 0. So this is the truth table of bitwise OR operator. So just go and apply the bitwise OR operator between these. So here also again I am taking the same thing. So I will just remove this. Okay, I will just remove this and remove this. The rest of the things, they are same, isn't it? A value, if I am considering 4, need to convert that 4 into binary, and I got this 8 bits. Okay, B value, if I am taking 3, need to convert the 3 into binary, and I got this. Then A, not ampersand, but we are performing the OR operation between A or B we are performing. So A OR is like a vertical line, then B. A or B, when you apply, any one bit needs to be 1. So over here 0, 1. One bit is 1. So put the result as 1. Over here 0, 1. Same thing. 1. 1, 0. One bit is 1. So put 1. So all other, they are combinations of zeros. So simply put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now what is this number? What is this number? 5 zeros followed by 3 ones. 5 zeros followed by 3 ones. What is that number? So put the number separated, 0, 0, then one more 0, one more 0, one more 0. 5 zeros, then 3 ones, 1, 1, 1. So what we have to do? Multiply 2 plus. Multiply 2 plus. I am converting this binary number into decimal. So multiply 2 plus. Multiply 2 plus. Again here also multiply 2 plus. Multiply 2 plus. Multiply 2 plus. Multiply 2 plus. Then multiply 2. That's it. So now what we have to do? Move from right to left and put the powers to 2. So over here start with 0, 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, 6, and the last one is 7. So now this is 2 power 0 is 1. 1 multiplied with 1, 1. Plus 2 power 1 is 2. Multiplied with 1, 2. Plus 2 power 2 is how much? 4. 4 multiplied with 1, it is 4. Plus 2 power 3, 8 multiplied with 0, 0. Plus 2 power 4, 16 multiplied with 0, 0. Plus 2 power 5, 32 multiplied with 0, 0. Plus 2 power 6, 64 multiplied with 0, 0. Plus 2 power 7, 128 multiplied with 0, 0. So now add all these things. So 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is 7. So when you are applying A or B, okay, when you are applying A or B, when A value is 4 and B value is 3, you will get the result as 7. Okay, you will get the result as 7. So this is how bitwise operators will operate. First you need to convert those bitwise operators into binary values and then apply the bitwise operation to get the final result. Okay, whatever result you are getting, that you will get in terms of bits only, and convert those bits into decimal form. Okay, convert those bits, that is nothing but binary number, into decimal form to get the final result, and that final result will be this 7. For these triple one, you will get the result as 7, decimal 7. So the next thing, okay, let me just close this. Okay, so the next thing, after bitwise OR, we have bitwise XOR operation. Okay. XOR operation, how it will do means only if both the bits are different. Okay, only if both the bits are different. Different means if you have the same bits. Okay, if you have the same bits, you will get the result like 0. If you have different bits, you will get the result like 1. Okay, this operation takes, this is also a binary operation. So this operation takes two operands and does XOR on every bit of two numbers. The result of XOR is 1 if the two bits are different. If the two bits are different. Result of XOR operation is 1 if both the bits are different. This operator is used to check whether the given number is even or odd. So, okay. So, over here, let us say I have, okay, the truth table for this XOR operation. Truth table. So, what we do? So, XOR operation truth table, take A value, take B value and take A XOR B like this. So, if you have, so the combinations you write 1 1, 1 0, 0 1, 0 0. 4 combinations with 2 bits. So 1 1 it will get 0. 0 1, oh, sorry 1 0 you will get like 1. 0 1 you will get 1. 0 0 again you will get 0. So apply this bitwise XOR operation to our example. Go to the whiteboard application and here you just apply. So I will write that number over here. So A value we took like 4, isn't it? A value we took 4. So the binary equivalent of for this 4 in 8 bits is 0 0 0 0 and 0 followed by 4. So 1 0 0. Then A value you take like 3, then apply the then convert that number into binary. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 1 1 like this. So whenever you have different bits you will get the result like 1, and whenever you have same bits you will get the result like 0, isn't it? So over here we have 0 0, so you will get 0 only. Same bits you will get the result 0. Okay, different bits 1 0 1, 0 1 1, 0 1 1. So again, what is this? 3 ones. Last 3 bits we got 3 ones. So here also we got the same result, isn't it? 3 ones. So the result of XOR operation, so this is B. Okay, result of XOR operation between A and B, when A value is 4 and B value is 3, you will get 7. Okay, 7. How come means just ignore these 5 zeros, because if you consider zeros, when you multiply those zeros with 2 you will get 0 only. Okay, 2 powers with you will get 0 only. So consider only this last 3. So 2 multiplied with 1 plus 2 multiplied with 1 plus 2 multiplied with 1, and over here 0 1 2. Okay, this is 4 plus 2 plus 1 equals to 7. Like this you will get the binary equivalent of XOR operation. Okay. So next is this bitwise left shift and bitwise right shift. This we will discuss afterwards. Okay. So when we do the stuff practically, I told you that parallel to these theory sessions I am going to put the practical sessions also. Over there we will do this with more clarity. Okay. So for that I'm just skipping this bitwise left shift and bitwise right shift operators. So then we have bitwise NOT operator. This bitwise NOT operator also we will discuss in your what we call the practical session. Why I'm skipping these 3 over here means because we have discussed the conversion of decimal numbers to binary numbers and binary numbers to decimal numbers only for positive values. Only for positive values. But when it comes to negative values, the concept is, I mean, it is similar, but there is a slight difference in that concept. So this thing we will do with the practical sessions, inside your practical sessions. I will not only explain the concept over there, but also I will show you with the help of a C program how we will get the output, whatever we are getting in our theoretical calculation. Okay, practically I will show you over there. So these negative values, handling the negative values in binary form, it is somewhat different. We have to learn two more procedures. That is checking the left significant bit, leftmost significant bit. We call it as LMSB, leftmost significant bit, LMSB. Okay, so that we need to understand, and also the ones complement and twos complement, calculating twos complement of a given number. So that also we need to understand. So because we are lagging in these three, I'm not covering this left shift, bitwise left shift, and bitwise right shift, and bitwise not operators over here. Three we discussed, bitwise and bitwise or and bitwise XOR we discussed, and these three we will do in your practical session. Okay, so these are the summary of all the operations, how we have to use those operators in our C programming. And as you can see, the first five, bitwise and, bitwise or, bitwise XOR, bitwise left shift, bitwise right shift, these operators, they are binary operators. So they need binary form in order to use them in our C program. They need two operands basically to perform the operation. Okay, but when we are talking about the bitwise not operator, this is not logical, this is bitwise. Okay, but when we are seeing bitwise not operator, bitwise not, it is taking the unary form. It is taking only one operand to perform its operation. It is a unary operator, bitwise not, and we use this tilde symbol. We call it as tilde. Okay, we call it as tilde symbol, and we are using this tilde symbol to perform the bitwise not operation. Hopefully you understood. So this is the truth table of all the operations. See here, a value, the combinations, whatever I took in my example, I've taken in reverse. So just they are keeping they are keeping all the possible combinations. They are keeping in reverse. You can see 1 1 at the last they kept 1 1 1 0 0 1 and 0 0, like that. They are keeping in reverse. So bitwise AND means when both the bits are 1, you will get 1. Bitwise AND operation, this one, when both the bits are 1, you will get 1. In all other cases, you will get zeros. Bitwise OR, XOR means when both the bits are zeros, you will get 0. In all other cases, you will get 1s. Okay, this is bitwise OR. Bitwise XOR, what it will do? Okay, if you have same bits, you will get 0. Here it is a mistake. If you have same bits, you will get 0, and if you have different bits, you will get 1. Okay, if you have same bits, you will get 0, and if you have different bits, you will get 1. Okay, then not is simply the complement. Whatever we have in A, you will get the reverse of it. If you have 0, you will get 1. If you have 1, you will get 0. The complement of the given bit. Okay, so the not operation. So we need to demonstrate this bitwise operators that we will do in our practical session. Then we have the increment and decrement operations. Assignment operation first we will discuss. Assignment operators, what they will do, they will simply assign the given value to the supplied operator. Whatever operator you are supplying, and if you use the assignment operator, what it will do, it will assign that value to the operand. Okay, sorry, not operator, operand. This assignment operator, what it will do, it will assign the value to the given operand. Operand, when I am saying over here, it is a variable. Okay, when I am saying the operand, it is a variable. Let us say you have a variable A, and you want to assign value 20 to this variable. How you will do in your mathematics, or how you will do in your programming, in the sense, simply use the assignment operator like this, 20. Now this A, when I'm calling it as a variable, it is nothing but it is a memory location. So what will happen? This 20, when you are assigning using the assignment operator, this 20 will go and reside into that A variable, into that A's memory location, like this, storing the value 20 into variable A, into variable A's memory location. So like this. So the value on the right side must be of the same data type. Okay, about this we will discuss afterwards. This is the concept of type conversion and type casting. Over there we will discuss. So the operand and operator, uh, to the assignment operator, whatever values we have on both the sides, they must be of the same type. Okay, so one side if you are taking integer, the other side also you have to take the integer only. So it is not possible that you are assigning string value or you are assigning a float value to a integer variable. If you assign, what will happen? There is a type conflict will occur. Okay, there is a type conflict will occur. So we have to understand this type conflict and solving this type conflict in detail. That we will do when we discuss about type conversion and type casting concept. Okay. The left side value, always remember, when you have an assignment operator, the right side value can be a constant, but left side value, it always needs to be a variable only. You cannot put a constant on the left side of the assignment operator. Doing so is an error. How means, see, assignment operator, we have this equals to symbol. Okay, so this is the right side. Okay, when I'm pointing the arrow over here, this is the right side and this is the left side. So keeping a constant on the right side, it is allowed, because here we have done, it is a literal constant. 20 as a value, it is a literal constant, and that literal constant you are assigning to a variable. Here a is a variable, but you can't put like this 20 equals to something. Okay, you can't put like this. Taking 20 on the left hand side of the assignment operator is an error. So can we do like this? 20 equals to 40. Is it possible? Can we put this 40 value into this 20? 20, it is a constant. It is not a memory location or it is not something. 20, it is a constant. It is a constant literal. It is not going to have any memory to hold the value 40. So by the way, in your mathematics also, doing so is an error. 20 equals to 40. What it is? It is a false statement. It is not proper statement. Okay, hope you understood. So the assignment operator evaluates the operand on the right side of the operator and places the value in the variable on the left side. Not only a single constant value you can take right hand side to the assignment operator, but you can take an entire expression also. How come means, see here, see, A value I'm taking 4, B value I'm taking 2, C value I'm taking 29, and then I'm assigning D also. I'm initializing D also. Then what I'm saying, D is equals to A plus B plus C, like this if I'm taking, or better you take it like this, A minus B plus C. Let us say like this I have taken. So what will happen? This entire thing is an expression. It is not a constant, and it is right side to the assignment operator, as you can observe over here. Okay, it is right side to the assignment operator, and it is not a constant, rather it is an expression. It is an expression with variables, but for these variables we have fixed values in our program, that is 4 to 29. So 4 minus 2 plus 29, like this it will get evaluated. Then 29 plus 2, 31, and you are saying, sorry, 4 minus 2 you take first. 4 minus 2 you will get 2. 29 plus 2, 31. You will get 31 as the result. Okay, 31 as the result. Like this it will give you the final value. Okay, hopefully you understood how we are performing these what we call assignment operator in our programming. Okay, then the next thing what we have after assignment operator, assignment operations, they can be of simple assignment or they can be of complex assignment or multiple assignment. So whatever assignment we have just done, it is a simple assignment, and we need to discuss about multiple assignment, as well as we need to discuss compound assignment. Multiple and compound assignment. Simple assignment, it is very simple. Only the single assignment operation we are using. Okay. whatever assignments we have done so far, assigning this 4 to A, assigning this 2 to B, assigning this 29 to C, likewise whatever assignments we are doing over here, all these comes under simple assignment operation only. Okay, simple assignment, nothing is there. Whatever value, whatever expression you are taking on the right hand side of the assignment operator will be evaluated. Evaluated in the sense you will get the single value. If you have an expression over there, simple or complex, if you have an expression over there, that expression will be evaluated and you will get the single value, and that single value will be stored inside the left hand side variable. Left hand side, what we are doing, we are maintaining a variable, and in that variable the final value will be stored. This is simple assignment operation. Okay, then we have multiple assignment. So if you want to assign multiple variables with some value like this, okay, if you want to assign, if you have variables like A, B, C, D in your program, and you want all these variables to hold the same value 50, let us assume this is your requirement in your program. You have 4 variables A, B, C, D, and you want all these 4 variables to hold value 50, same value. So instead of doing like this, instead of following this simple assignment, one way is we can go with simple assignment like this: A equals to 50, B is equals to 50, C is equals to 50, and D is also equals to 50. This is simple assignment. Okay, simple assignment. So rather than going with simple assignment, which will increase the number of lines of code. Okay, here how many lines we got over here? 4 lines of code we got. It is increasing the number of lines of code. When you are doing the same assignment, same value assignment to all these different variables, instead of going with 4 different lines of code, you can do this in a single line of code. How come? Means A is equals to B is equals to C is equals to D is equals to 50. Now what will happen? This 50 will get stored into D, and that 50 also gets stored into C, B and A likewise. Okay, hopefully you understood. This is your multiple assignment concept. What we are doing over here, we are doing the multiple assignment in a single statement. Multiple assignment in a single statement. This is simple assignment, assigning values individually, and this is multiple assignment, assigning values to all our variables in a single statement. Okay, this is multiple assignment. Then we have one more type of assignment, that is compound assignment. Compound assignment. So what it is means, so let us assume you have A value like 40, and then you are writing a statement. You want to add 5 to this A value. You want to add 5 to this A value. So what you can do, how you can write that statement? A is equals to A plus 5. So now what will happen? A value after this statement, A value will become 45, because we are adding A is equals to A plus 5 we have written. What is A value? A value is 40, and then you are adding 5 to it. So you will get A value as 45. After this statement, you will get A value as 45. Then let us assume you have B value as 24, and you want to subtract 4 from this 24. 4 from this 24. So how you can? B is equals to B value, B minus 4. Whatever B value you have, you want to subtract 4 from it. So B value is 24 minus 4. So you will get B value as 20. After this statement, B value as 20. Then let us take another thing. C is equals to 5 you have, and you want to multiply this C value with 4. So C is equals to, just wait, 5 multiplied with 4. So you will get C value after this statement, 5 4s 20. So C is equals to 20, like this. So one more statement, you have D value, D is equals to some 32, and you want to divide this 32 with what we call 4. So how come? D is equals to D divided with 4. So after this statement, you will get D value like 8, isn't it? So then the last case, the modulo division. So you have E value like 9, and you want to modulo divide this 9 with 2. Okay, so E is equals to E modulo division with 2. So what you will get? The remainder. Isn't it? Modulo division means remainder. So if you modulo divide 9 with 2, you will get the remainder as 1. So after this statement, e value like 1 you will get. So this is using simple assignment statement. So you are, how many lines of code here again? 3 lines of code. Isn't it? 1, 2, 3. So you are doing in 3 lines of code, or you are using 2 operators over here. 2 operators, a equals to a plus 5. So first this value gets evaluated and that will be assigned to a. This value gets evaluated and that will be assigned to b. Likewise, in all cases you are using multiple operators and you are making the compiler to perform more than one operation. You are making the compiler to consider the same statement more than once. Okay, once to perform this operation and second to assign this value. So rather than doing this, rather than considering the same statement for multiple number of times, we have a shortcut approach. We have a shortcut approach of doing the same thing in a single statement. Rather than going with multiple statements, you can do that in a single statement. So how come means, let's just assume for this to do the in a shortcut way. For this to do in a shortcut way, just assume the a value as 40 only. A is equals to 40. Then you just make it as a plus c equals to 5. So this is same, this plus equals to is nothing but your compound assignment statement. Plus equals to is nothing but your compound assignment statement. So this is same like writing a is equals to a plus 5. Same like a is equals to a plus 5. Because a gets repeated over here, what we have done, we removed this a and we wrote this a only once, and we shifted this plus from after the assignment operator to before the assignment operator. Only that modification we have done. So instead of writing a twice, so this compound assignment statement, what it is doing, it is reducing the line of code, and moreover it is making it a shortcut approach for solving the statement. So this is also same like writing a is equals to a plus 5. So in short, we can write it as a plus equals to 5. The result will be same. You will get a value as 45 only. Okay. So for this, you can write b minus equals to 4. Okay. b minus equals to 4. Then b value will become 20 only. Initially b value was 24, then we wrote b minus equals to. Here also same thing. When c value is 5, to multiply that c value, here c you need to put, to multiply that c value with 4, you can write c multiplication equals to 4. Here d divide equals to 4. Then e modulo divide equals to 2. Like this you can write. So all these represent the same thing. C is equals to c multiplied with 4. It represents. Here also same thing. D is equals to d divide with 4. It represents. Then here also E is equals to E modulo division 2. It represents. So like this, all these statements you can write in a shortcut way, or you can call these assignment operations as compound assignment operations. So in 3 different ways we can use the assignment operator: simple assignment, multiple assignment, and compound assignment. The 3 different forms we have discussed related to this assignment operators. Okay, assignment operators. The first, the normal form, simple assignment, then multiple assignment, and then the compound assignment we discussed. Here they have given with more clarity. In this table you can refer that one. Plus equals to is the compound plus compound assignment operator. C plus equals to 7 means C is equals to C plus 7. Likewise, for all the different operators they have given the meaning over here. Okay, then this compound assignment we can call it as an shorthand notation or shortcut form for solving the given statement. Then we have increment and decrement operators. Increment and decrement operators, they plays a vital and important role in the programming language, any programming language. And this, if you go for competitive exams after your BE, when you go for competitive exams like GATE or something for your what we call outsourcing studies, or going for higher studies, or competing in any software industry, there also they will conduct not only technical interview, but not only the personal interview, but also the technical interview. In that technical interview, there is a possibility that they will ask questions from these increment and decrement operators, because they are quite confusing, and it is a very big concept. Increment and decrement operators we cannot simply discuss in one shot. We need to do a lot of research, a lot of study on this one. Okay, so according to your curriculum, according to the basic level what we need to discuss, that we will discuss over here. But as far as this research oriented or the technical stuff oriented study that you have to do from by your own, because we don't have that much of time to go into deep on this particular operator category, that is increment and decrement operators. Okay, so increment and decrement operators, we have two different types. The first one is pre-increment, and the second one is post. Okay, pre and post. Increment, when you are talking about, we have two: pre-increment and post-increment. Decrement, when we are talking about, they're also the same thing: pre-decrement and post-decrement. So what operators we use in order to perform this increment and decrement operations? I mean, what syntactical token we use in order to indicate this increment and decrement operators, and how they are going to change the values in our program execution, that we need to discuss. Okay, so increment and decrement operators, for our understanding, I will write that one over here. Increment and decrement. So first we'll go with increment, and when we do the discussion on this increment, the discussion of decrement is also quite similar. So increment operator, we use double plus. So this indicates the increment operation, and it is a unary operator. Always remember, both increment and decrement operators, they are unary operators. For decrement, we use minus minus. Unary operators, they are unary operators. When I am saying unary, what does it mean? They will take only one operand to perform the operation, isn't it? They will take only one operand. Okay, only one value to perform its operation. Unlike binary operators, they will, where binary operators will take two operands, here unary operators, they will take only one operand to perform its operation. Okay, so depending upon the way of using the increment or decrement operators, we have two possible options for this increment as well as for this decrement. Increment, they can be pre-increment, and pre-increment. Pre-increment and post-increment. Then decrement also same thing. We have pre-decrement and post-decrement. Pre-decrement and post-decrement. So what exactly this pre-increment and post-increment and pre-decrement and post-decrement means? The way how you use this operators. So here we said they are unary operators, so only one operand they take to perform the operation. So only one operand. Only one operand, only one value they take to perform the operation. So if the operator, whatever pre-increment, for both pre and post we use the same symbol. If the operator comes before the operand, this is pre-increment. Okay, and if the operator comes after the operand, this is post-increment. Pre-increment, post-increment. Here also same thing. If the operator comes before the operand, this is pre-decrement. And if the operator comes after the operand, it is post-decrement. Okay, pre-increment, pre-decrement, post-increment, post-decrement. Likewise, remember this one. Pre-increment, pre-decrement, post-increment and post-decrement. These are the things. Okay, now how the values will change? What exactly this increment and decrement operators will do? How the values will change in our program? So this is the usage we have studied so far. Now we are discussing how the values will change. So let's just start with the first one, that is pre-increment. So suppose if you have the value I equals to 20, let us assume if you have the value I equals to 20. So when you do both pre-increment or post-decrement, after the operation what it will do means, let us say if you are making plus plus I like this. So this, what exactly it will do means, okay, I is equals to I plus 1. It will increment the value of the operand by 1. So when you write plus plus I, it will increment the value of I by 1. Okay. Or if you write I plus plus also the same thing, it will increment the value of I by 1, I plus 1. Same thing here, you took the value of I equals to 20, and when you are saying minus minus I, it is same like I equals to I minus 1. Then if you write I minus minus, it is again same like I equals to I minus 1. Simply increment operators will increment the value of the given operand by 1, and decrement operators decrement the value of the given operand by 1. Okay. So now what is the difference between pre-increment and post-increment? In the sense, to understand this, we have to take another example. Same, take the I value like 20. Hopefully you understood so far whatever I have explained, this thing and this thing. So now I value like 20 I am taking. So after this, if you take another variable j equals to plus plus I. So now after this particular statement, what will happen? As it is pre-increment, first the value of I will get incremented. See the arrow marks what I am pointing over here, that you need to understand. First the I value gets incremented, that is I equals to I plus 1. So the value will become 21 now. So this 21 will be assigned, to j. So this is pre-increment. Pre means first you increment the value, then you assign the value. This is pre-increment. First the value of I gets incremented and the value of I will become 21, and that 21 will be assigned to j. So this is how the pre-increment operator will work. So then post-increment, how it will work in the sense, same thing. Take the I value 20, then j is equals to, post-increment means I plus plus, isn't it? I plus plus. Now what will happen over here? How the value will change means, first it will assign I value to j. It will not increment. First it will assign. So over here, after this particular statement, what is I value? I value, it already got incremented, 21. And then what is j value? J value 21, because 21 is assigned to j, so j value is also 21. So over here, first the I value will be assigned. So I value is 20, so 20 will be assigned to j. Then the I value gets incremented. So I is equals to I plus 1. So that is 21. Okay. First it is assigned, then it is incremented. Okay. So now after this particular statement, what is I value over here? I value, as you can see, it is incremented, so 21. Then what is j value? J, it took the value from I before its increment, isn't it? That's why before its increment the value is assigned. So after assigning the value, the increment is going on. So post increment, after assigning the value, the increment is going on. So j value will become 20 only, because first the value is assigned, then it got incremented. Post increment, pre increment and post increment. Hope you understood. The same thing we will discuss in case of pre-decrement and post-decrement. Pre-decrement, I value, let us take 20. Then j is equals to minus minus I. This is pre-decrement. Pre-decrement means first you decrement the I value. Decrement the I value. I equals to I minus 1. So this will become 19. I value was 20. Now it will become 19. So this 19 will also be assigned to j because it is pre-decrement. First the value gets decremented, then assigned. So I value after this statement, I value will be 19 and j value will also be 19. Okay. So then take another I equals to 20 and assign the value to by doing post decrement I minus minus. So again, how it will be? First the value will be assigned because it is post decrement. First the value will be assigned. So j value will also become 20 only. Then I value gets decremented. I equals to I minus 1. So this is 19. I value will become 19. So after this statement, j value will be 19 and I value will also, j value will be 20. So sorry. First the value is assigning. So j value will be 20 and I value will be 19. So like this. Pre-increment means first the value will be incremented, then assigned. Pre-increment. Post-increment means first the value will be assigned, then gets incremented. Pre-decrement means first the value will be decremented, then the value will be assigned. Post-decrement means first the value will be assigned, then decremented. Okay. So this is about increment and decrement operations. Okay. So then we have the conditional operator and then the other operator categories. So these other operator categories, see, we have the first operator, address operator. This ampersand we used like a bitwise operator also. So don't get confused between the bitwise AND operator and the address operator. They have different meaning when they used. Okay. They have different meaning when they used, because this ampersand being an address operator, it is a unary operator. It will not take two operands, rather it will take only one operand. It is a unary operator. And if you use this ampersand with two operands, that is then it will be that is like a binary operator, then it will be considered like a bitwise AND operator, not the address operator but bitwise AND operator. So this indirection operator, it is same like your multiplication operator, isn't it? But this is the second use of this asterisk symbol. We call this symbol as asterisk symbol. So this is the second use of asterisk symbol to indirect a given value. Okay. So this ampersand and this ampersand address operator and this asterisk indirection operator, the use of these two we will discuss in your pointers concept. Okay. When we do pointers, there you will understand this address operator and indirection operator. Then we have the comma operator. This we do in case of your control structures. There you will understand. Then size of operator, already we did it. In case of your data types, to know the size allocated to a particular variable or to know a size of a particular data type, we use this size of operator. It will simply returns the number of bytes allocated for a particular type of variable or allocated for a particular type of for a particular type. Okay. Then this dot and arrow operator, this is a dot operator and this is arrow operator. We call them as member access operators. Okay. Member access operators. This we do, the discussion of these two we do in your structures. Okay. We discuss in your 4th unit the concept of structures, the direct indirection, direct member access operator and indirect member access operator. This we will discuss in your structures concept. Okay, just we need to have an overview over here, because all these operators throughout the semester we will discuss. The categorization here we are doing because we are discussing the operators concept. Categorization we are doing, but the discussion it is not possible to do in one single session. Okay, so if they are asking you to write about these operators, the way how I explained them over here, you need to write only that much, because even though they will ask this question for LAQ for 10 marks, but time is a constraint over there, isn't it? You have to answer around 4 to 5 LAQs. So time is a constraint over there. And if you write about this operators, 3 hours of your examination is not sufficient. Okay, we have that much content to write inside this operator. So that is the reason I have squeezed the content and I made the content suitable for a LAQ, long answer question. So whatever I have given in your notes or whatever I have explained in this theory class, writing that one is more than enough to get that 10 marks. If you write to the point answer, if you give proper examples over there, definitely there is a possibility that you will get a maximum of 10 marks. Okay, so rest of the things, like we need to discuss about this conditional operators, and also we'll do the operator precedence and operator associativity in our next class, and then we left with only the control structures, that is your conditional statements and iterative statements. Okay, so as it is Saturday, the end of the week day, so from Monday onwards I'm planning the practical sessions. Okay, so you need to be ready for that practical sessions on Monday in the evening at 4 o'clock. Possibly I am going to post a video which will show you how to do the installation of this IDE, that is your what we call Dave C++. Okay, be ready for that one, and thank you very much, students.